fastest show in sports.
Many years ago, I said that the most corrupt sports agencies in the world were FIFA, head of soccer in the World Cup, the International Olympic Committee, which is still one of the absolute worst. Well, then again, so is FIFA. But the third one was the one where I got an awful lot of pushback. The NCAA, at the time, one of the most corrupt sporting institutions in the world. I mean, these guys covered up, smoked up, spent out, threatened people, went as far as they could to make things happen, came up with the most ridiculous rules in the world, and they were corrupt. Nowadays, who cares if the NCAA is corrupt? They have no more power whatsoever. It's not like college football is run by them. Oh, sure, there are people who are going to say that, well, the NCAA is still in effect and they've got this rule and that rule and this rule. Bullshit. The NCAA is no longer one of the most corrupt organizations, sporting organizations in the world, because they have no power. No. Let's go right where it all deserves to be. Those in charge of and who work for and who are part of the college football playoff system in America, you are some of the most corrupt SOBs that possibly have touched any sport at any time, anywhere. And it happens every year. Every single year we've seen it happen. I mean, this goes back to a time when there was no college football playoffs. Yes, kids, follow me. There was a time when there were no playoffs. There was no playoff system. Teams got named to bowl games simply based on regional favoritism or because they managed to beat 8 teams that couldn't beat themselves in high school. I mean, they basically loaded their schedule with namby-pamby weak sisters, and that's what constituted a national championship. Oh, no. We've got to make this more official now. Why? Because you're greedy. You got a chance at billions of dollars, and you're making it happen right now. And that's what has led the college football playoff system, and that includes the Big Ten, the SEC, and every other damn conference out there that is doing this for no other reason than just to make a buck, corrupt right down to the base. And we have seen absolute evidence of it this year, heading for the 2026 National Championship. I mean, you con artists, you couldn't have done a better job of basically exposing yourself and showing everybody that you don't give a shit about the kids, the schools, the programs. You don't care. It's all about the money that you're going to make. And believe me, you're making a ton of money. And you're making it on the backs of those kids and those coaches. And that's why every single damn time anymore, when a player stands up and says, you know, I'm not going here, I'm going there. And the reason I'm going over there is because they're paying me more money. And it's about damn time. That's why you got to make them professional and pay them. But I digress. This college football playoff time that we've been in here is just a microcosm of the issues that college football is facing, and college football doesn't want to face. They don't want to make it better. Are you kidding? Make the playoff system better? No. Let's make it 12 teams, then 16, then maybe 20, then 24. Look, this whole thing has been nothing more than a con job to eventually get us to 24 teams. I'm going to sit here right now and tell anybody who wants to listen, and you can, I swear you can take this to the bank. I used to be very tight with a lot of people who were high up in the college football playoff hierarchy. I'm not anymore. You know why? They don't want to talk to me because they hear me out here basically spitting the truth. And while I'll never name names, I can spit what I was told right to my face. When 2 of them, with major power in the playoff system, said to me, the only reason we are doing this is to get to 24 teams. We can't do it right away. It's going to take time. We're going to massage this. We're going to make it happy so that everybody knows they're going to make a ton of money. But we're eventually going to get to 24. And we're eventually going to get to conferences which will all be parsed out with who wins and where you go and how you get there. It has to happen. They told me to my face, and I said, how long is it going to take? They said, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 years. And it's taken about 15, 20 years to basically happen. But that's where we're at. This is all a purpose, a con job to get to 24. Look, if you want to make this thing fair, gee, I don't know, I just use the word fair in relation to the college football playoff and all you con job crooks that are involved there. Why not just make it conference? You win a conference, you get a berth. Doesn't make a difference. You don't have to be the Big Ten or the ACC or the SEC or whatever's left these days. Because eventually we're going to get to a point where it's only going to be the Big Ten and the SEC, or maybe one other big conference that's going to take over. You had a chance where you could have taken every single conference and made the conference champion part of the playoff system. You could have parsed it out. Go from there, get to a national champion, give everybody a chance. But that's not going to happen. That's gone. Because as I said, Big Ten and the SEC have all the money and all the power right now. So you're going to be able to take, 6 teams from each one? When you get to a 24-team playoff, 6 SEC, 6 Big Ten, because they're going to demand it. And you know why they're going to demand it? Because they've got the money, they've got the sponsors, they've got Ohio State, Michigan, Georgia, Alabama, LSU, all these teams which are going to make a spitload of money, and that's all they care about. So why not just go ahead and make that to get to your 24, which is what they're doing. Okay? You have no chance. The one thing that I will say that I am extremely glad to see, there were years past when I said that the also-ran teams would never get a shot at a national championship. Never. And in that group, I will tell you, I included teams like Ole Miss. Back then, and it wasn't that long ago, I said, look, Ole Miss is never going to get a chance at the national championship. Are you kidding? They can't compete. They can't bring in the players. They can't do what Georgia and Alabama and LSU and some of the other teams are doing, what Auburn is doing, what Miami was doing at the time, Penn State, Notre Dame, all these other, Texas. They'll never compete. I was wrong. And you know why I was wrong? Because everything changed with the players. Now you have the transfer portal. But it's not even a transfer portal anymore. It's basically going out there and getting the best free agents that you can. Because now the kids can go there. The schools like Ole Miss can bring them in, can give them a tremendous amount of money. They can dig deep into their sponsors. And they can create that kind of a team, be it an Ole Miss or an Indiana. I think it's outstanding that these teams have a chance to upset the apple cart and basically piss off the big guns by saying you can't get in, there's not enough space, you're out. The James Madisons of the world, the Tulanes of the world. Bravo! Bravo! Spend some more money. Get in there. Piss them off. Make sure that teams like, Notre Dame don't get in. Or Alabama, which doesn't deserve to get in. Go ahead and make them unhappy and get in there and contend for the championship. And that's why when this thing hits, I'll tell you what, I am rooting for Ole Miss. I am rooting for Tulane, James Madison, Indiana. I'm rooting for you. Nothing would make me happier than to see all the big teams. Nothing would make me happy. And look, this isn't personal. Because as soon as this comes out of my mouth, there's going to be people out there that will say this is personal. It's not. I have no axe to grind. It has nothing to do with where I went to college. Zero. But there's nothing I want more than to see Ohio State lose, to see the Michigans of the world lose, to see the Texas A&Ms of the world lose. You big guns have had your chance. And you basically are part of the problem. So here we go. Bring in the secondary teams. Bring in the third-ranked teams. Let them come in here and let them win the national championship. It would be the best thing for college football and the worst thing. Because as that happens, the powers that be in college football are going to say, we have to move faster to make sure we get to 24. And we have to get to 24 because we have to make sure that the Ohio States, the Notre Dames, the Miamis, the Texases, the Washingtons, the Oregons, the Penn States of the world are all happy because they're going to make us a tremendous amount of money. And we can't leave them on the outside looking in. Are you kidding? Because there's too much money sitting out there. So with all that said, let's deal in a couple of other absolutes, okay? Number one, the college football bowl system is dead. Let's put it out of its misery once and for all, because you have bowl games that don't mean a thing anymore. Look, the players don't. The best players are the ones who are going to get a chance to go to the NFL. And when they decide they're not going to play in a bowl game, I go back to a time when people said, oh, you don't have any school spirit. What the hell's wrong with you? Your school got you there. You need to play in the bowl game. Bullshit, they do. Because it doesn't help them. It doesn't get them anywhere. What it does is it helps the players who aren't going to go to the NFL and these guys who have basically busted their ass. It's a great reward. But the rewards are overrated anymore. Even the players don't want to go. And the coaches don't want to go because they don't want to waste the time. These games mean nothing. The college football playoff system has finally rendered the bowl system to be completely useless. Now, it's good for one thing, because in a lot of cases with the bowls, you also have ancillary events like tennis tournaments, swimming tournaments, junior high school teams, whatever. You've got a lot of money, charities that make a lot of money from these bowl games. But you're just going to be a regional bowl game. That's all it's going to be anymore. It's going to be weak. And yeah, you're going to get ABC, NBC, CBS, ESPN, TNT, HBO, whatever. You're going to get these to go ahead. Sometimes they're going to go ahead and carry the game, which will make a lot of money for the sponsors and the school. But most of the time they don't care because the ratings don't balance it out. You don't get the numbers. And now you have schools that don't want to play and bowl games that are scrambling to fill them with anybody. They'll take anybody. If you're warm and got a heartbeat, they'll take you to go ahead and be part of their bowl game just to be able to put it on and make sure that the contract sticks. But the bowl games have been, it's a good word I'm looking for. The bowl games have been eviscerated. They have been basically cut off at the you-know-where. They're not worth it anymore. So stop whining about bowl games. They don't count. The bowl games have to go out of business, or they have to change their business model. They've got to become something entirely different. Just make them regional again. Here's your 16, 20, 24 teams. They're going to be in the playoff. Set it early. And then go out and fill them regionally so people don't have to travel. Look, it makes no sense whatsoever if an Arkansas gets in a bowl game and it's out in Oregon or California. Keep it regional. Make it so that the teams, rivalries if you will, find rivalries which haven't been focused on yet. Get them out there and get people to come to the games. Make them worth something, but they're always going to be, it used to be that you had the big bowl games here and the secondary bowl games here and the third bowl games here. Now you got the big guys up here and everybody else is out of sight. They don't count anymore because the college football bowl system has been put out of business by the playoff system. And it's all because of money. Yeah, you can make a couple of bucks with your regional bowl game, but look at all the money we're making over here. That's what we want to see more of. So let's also then deal with this. Let's deal with the Notre Dame issue, okay? Notre Dame doesn't get, okay, well, let's start fresh here, all right? We have to address this instance between Notre Dame and Miami getting in. Earlier in the week, Notre Dame was ahead of Miami. Okay, so that means that Notre Dame gets in, right? Miami came out and they've actually had one of the cable channels out there replaying their victory over Notre Dame over and over and over again so that everybody can see that we beat Notre Dame. Yes, you did. It's tight, but you still beat them, and you beat them at the beginning of the season. Okay. Granted, I'll give you that. But still, strength of schedule is pretty fair. I mean, there's not a lot of huge difference here. But because it's Notre Dame, and because all those Catholics around the world, from here to Ireland, are desperate to see this team play in the playoffs, they kept shoveling Notre Dame and shoveling Notre Dame and shoveling Notre Dame. It's all about money. It wasn't about anything else. It wasn't about competitive balance. That's nonsense. This was about the money that Notre Dame will bring in because Notre Dame will make more money for everybody than Miami could even hope to. I mean, look, Miami doesn't even do well at its own home games. They're in a playoff race, and they can't even fill the damn stadium. All you got to do is go out there and start counting the empty seats. Miami does not travel well, except for the big guns, the guys and gals with the big money. But Miami doesn't travel well, certainly not at these prices. But Notre Dame, are you kidding? They'll go anywhere, anytime. You put a bowl game in Kazakhstan, and they'll go to the game. You put it on Easter Island, and they'll go. So you put the game anywhere, Notre Dame will be there. Notre Dame makes more money End of story. So here you have Notre Dame is ahead of Miami. Okay, makes sense. Miami can go out and do all the politicking that they possibly can, but you've decided, the committee, you've decided that Notre Dame's the better team, even though Miami beat them. Oh, that was at the beginning of the season. That was way back then. They still beat them. They still defeated them. I don't care if it's by 1 point or 100 points. They won the game when they had to. So Notre Dame being placed over Miami all season long was nothing more than politics. It was nothing more than greed. It was nothing more than con artists who are tight to Notre Dame. Look, there's more people who have connections, monetarily and otherwise, to Notre Dame than they do to the University of Miami. And that's why these committees, these idiots, these morons, these con artists kept Notre Dame sitting there. So if Notre Dame is sitting there early in the week, how in the name of sweet Jesus, touchdown Jesus that is, do they vault over Miami? Nobody played any more games. I mean, it wasn't like they went and got together and played each other. Maybe played with each other, but that's another story altogether. And you put Miami in there. Why? And look, I tell you, the Miami people are going to be so pissed at me because I still have a lot of friends there. I have a lot of connections. They're going to say, Ed, aren't you on the side of the University of Miami? No, I'm on the side of fairness. I'm on the side of putting the right team in there. You deserved to be there, without question. You beat Notre Dame. All the other numbers are fairly even, so you should have been there. But you weren't, because the committee didn't want you there. The committee looks down its nose at Miami. It looks down its nose at what they still call convict U. You assholes. I mean, you're still going to go ahead and bring that up after what, 30 years? Miami deserves just as much respect as Notre Dame. But you didn't give it to them because they're not the Irish. And then Notre Dame comes out. We're not going to play in the bowl game. And people even come out and say, you bunch of cowards, go ahead, play in a bowl game somewhere. Why? Why? No, I want to understand this. Why should Notre Dame, after they've just been reamed by the committee, say, come on, guys, we're going to get back in there. Let's give it the old school rah-rah. We're going to go out there and play for Notre Dame. Players don't want to do it. The coaches don't want to do it. You've insulted them. You took them out of the mix. Now, if we had 24 teams, they'd be in there. See what I'm saying? There you go. It's all to make that move eventually to get to those 24 teams. But I have nothing against Notre Dame for basically saying we're not going to play in a bowl game. Good for you. Why? Why take a chance on being part of a game where any one of the players could undergo a substantial injury, and you could miss your NFL career? Hell, you could miss out on a normal career just for playing a game that means nothing. And Notre Dame doesn't need the money. Oh, we're going to play it for $1 million payout. No, you're not. And even if you do, we don't need it. You've embarrassed us. You basically dumped on us. You lifted your leg on Notre Dame and you said, we're there all season long. But then all of a sudden, because somebody has a change of heart or somebody gets paid off, you're going to put Miami in there. Look, Miami, you deserved to be there in the first place. But the point of the matter is, you're dealing with a reckless band of committee members who are just in it for themselves, who don't give a damn about anything more than the money that they're all going to make and the paychecks that all keep rolling into them. And that's why Notre Dame was there. Who's to say that these committees basically just decided, and somebody said, hey, I tell you what, let's keep Notre Dame thinking that they're going to make it so that they'll continue to play well, and then we can pull the rug out from underneath them at the last minute, because we all know Miami beat them. So why don't we just go ahead, we'll keep them running and make them think that they're going to make it in. Why not? Are you telling me that's impossible? You can't tell me that's impossible, because nothing's impossible with this corrupt organization that is sitting here. So the playoffs will go on. Everybody will make money. We will continue to talk about this ad nauseum for a long time, because that's what they want, because it continues to drive money and sponsors. In the end, like I said, I'm rooting for Indiana. I'm rooting for Ole Miss. I'd love to see a couple of upsets with Tulane and James Madison. Are you kidding? I'd love to see it, because it would basically tell them that everybody gets a chance. Everybody deserves a chance. And that's why we're going to 24 teams. It's going to happen. And we haven't even touched on the gambling aspect of this. Ho, 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 ho. Are the gamblers thrilled? Take me to 24, baby. I'm lining up on the app. But let's all just realize that when it comes down to corrupt organizations in sports, you still have FIFA, the IOC, and now the college football playoff system. You're all corrupt, you're all criminals, and you're all just doing it to make a buck for no other reason. As far as you're concerned, you could say the schools and the kids, we don't care.
Ed Berliner, the fastest show in sports.